Hey Falcon fans, I'm Thomas Mott. Welcome into our Atlanta Falcons news and rumor video here on a Monday. Obviously, we are plowing ahead towards training camp, and so not a lot of groundbreaking news today, but it is July, and so there are a lot of rankings and fun articles that are coming out, and we're going to break down everything happening right now, at least according to the media and other people, with your Atlanta Falcons. So I want to backpack off of something we talked about in a previous video, and that was the ESPN ranking regarding every single NFL roster. We talked about this in a video just the other day, and basically said that ESPN ranked the Falcons as the second worst roster in the National Football League. We went through and said, it's not a great roster, but is it the second worst? I mean, that's a little bit bold in my opinion. And this then turned into a very interesting topic for CBS Sports and Emory Hunt, who went through and defended the Falcons roster and really made a lot of points that we've made here on the channel regarding, listen, it's not the best roster, it's not a top 5 roster, it's not a top 10 roster, but they have the potential to be very, very good based on really the skill players that they added this offseason. And I think that, again, Hunt made a really, really good case, and so I want to explain his case and show you the rankings here and to start today's video. So first, let's just go again through the bottom 5 of ESPN's roster rankings. This was from last week. Jacksonville there at 28. Seattle sits at 29. Chicago ahead of Atlanta at 30. Chicago, I know. Atlanta at 31, and the Texans sitting there at 32. So that's what we're basing all of this off of and saying that a lot of people think the Falcons are going to have a very bad roster. So when CBS Sports' Emory Hunt says he thinks they're going to be a lot better than people realize, we at least want to give him a little bit of showtime and credit because it's rare when a national media pundit says something like this about your Falcons. Here's what he said. Listen to this. Quote, "Hear me out. The run game. They brought in Tyler Allgeier to BYU. I think he's their foundational back along with Damien Williams. Thus, Patterson be that multifaceted option. Also, look at the receiver core. The Falcons drafted Drake London. They also bring in, via trade, Bryan Edwards from their big body wide receiver. They have Kyle Pitts, who can be a tight end or receiver, so they're going to be solid on skill positions," end quote. Now, just because they're solid on skill positions does not guarantee that they're going to go ahead and be, the best team in the National Football League, but the fact that they have some solid options on the outside, that might go ahead and give some relief to the defense because they're scoring, give relief to whoever plays quarterback, and hopefully helps out the offensive line as well. I totally agree with what Emory Hunt has to say. Before we get into that, though, first, add a pinned comment down below. Over under 7 wins for the Falcons. Emory Hunt thinks it's going to be closer to that versus the national media, and of course, a lot of betting websites are saying 4.5 to 5. A little ridiculous to me. Over under 7 wins for the Falcons. Type O down below for over, or type U down below for under. Now, I think it's very, very clear that Atlanta's not going to be, incredible this year. But I'm fascinated by these young skill players. I think Drake London has a chance to be a really good young wide receiver. I still consider Kyle Pitts to be extremely young, only entering year 2, and he should have an absolutely monster 1,000-yard year. And like you mentioned, Tyler Allgier. What can Tyler Allgier do for this offense? If he becomes a consistent running back and the workhorse and can get close to 1,000 yards rushing, this team is going to be a lot better than people realize, and for sure better than 4.5 or 5 wins. Again, this roster's not great. We understand that. Still some holes in the defensive line. Young people at linebacker. They're pretty good at cornerback, young at safety. Offensive line has some issues there. But overall, if Marcus Mariota plays well and they're able to run the football first, it's going to open up some incredible play-action opportunities where Mariota rolls out of the pocket and finds Drake London and finds Kyle Pitts and finds Bryan Edwards. And so I agree with Emory Hunt. They're not going to be a 9-win football team. That's kind of the upper ceiling, upper echelon of what they can possibly do. But can they get to 7 or 8? That's double 4.5 is what Vegas is saying right now. I agree. I think they have a chance to be pretty darn good. Okay, I want to move over here to Cordarrelle Patterson really quickly because Emory Hunt talked about Cordarrelle Patterson and how you don't want him to be the feature back. You want to kind of keep him as this Swiss Army knife who can do a lot of things, and that means keeping him on the football field. And CBS Sports is a really good write-up on Cordarrelle Patterson talking about how don't expect the sun, moon, and stars, but don't expect a regression. They got to figure out kind of that perfect little hole where he fits in alongside, newly signed Damien Williams and alongside Tyler Allgier and into this offense, obviously behind, hopefully, a better offensive line and Marcus Mariota. I'll read you CBS Sports' thoughts on that in just 1 second. First, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channels. We have plenty of great content coming up later on this week, including a mailbag video. You guys love a mailbag videos. I understand. You want your name and your question featured on the show, and so subscribe, be a part of that. We also have some great roster breakdowns and looking ahead to training camp videos coming up later on this week as well. So if you like the Falcons, you want to help us grow, go down below and subscribe. Okay, here was what CBS Sports had to say on Cordarrelle Patterson. We'll throw it up on the screen right now. Quote, Patterson will be Atlanta's starting running back to open 2022 after his breakout performance, 1,166 total yards and 11 touchdowns last season. However, Falcons are expected to continue taking a cautious approach with the running back to avoid another late season decline. So it's possible a 2020 or 2013 first-round pick finds himself in a timeshare to start the upcoming season. While the 31-year-old is still expected to garner a major role, Kendall urges fans to pump the brakes on him improving on last season's numbers and suggests that anything other than regression would be a win for Patterson and the Falcons. And I agree with all of this, and Kendall's a writer from The Athletic who chimed in on this as well. These numbers are crazy. Like, they're really, 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 really good. Now, the odds of him being better than this, better than 11 touchdowns, better than 1,200 yards is a little bit far-fetched. Hope he does, right? No issues with that. But if it comes back a little bit and it's 950 yards and 8 touchdowns, is it really that big of a deal as long as those yards and touchdowns are going to, other running backs on this depth chart? They're going to Tyler Allgier. They're going to Damien Williams. They're going to someone else in terms of splitting some carries. And so while I would honestly argue that maybe Patterson's not the highest draft pick, that a lot of people are going to make him in their fantasy football leagues, and that regression might be real, I think making sure you have him for the latter part of the season, have him effective for the latter part of the season is going to be very, very important. And a guy like Tyler Allgier helps do that. I talk about Tyler Allgier all the time here on the channel. Maybe I'm overhyping him, but if I'm right about him and he balls out, this offense, again, is going to be a lot better than people realize, and they're going to win a lot more games than, as previously mentioned earlier in the video, 4.5 or 5 where Vegas has them at right now. Who has more yards? Like, we're talking about rushing yards here. Type P down below for Patterson or type A down below for Allgeier. Let me know who has more yards here from a running back standpoint down below in the comments section. Now, we know who's going to have a ton of yards this year, and that is Kyle Pitts. And his jersey is back and available right now at chatsports.com/Pitts. You can get any color that you want, the white, the black. I'd also go ahead and get whatever size you want. I think most sizes are in stock right now. Men's, women's, large, medium, whatever you need. Pick up your Kyle Pitts jersey now because this is going to be the most popular jersey by far for the Falcons this year, and they might run out, and you want to have yours ready for week 1 for the Atlanta Falcons. So go down below and pick up your Falcons Kyle Pitts jersey in the comments section right now. I'm sorry, in the description box, not the comment section. Description box is where it's being found. Might be in the comment section as well. Just click on the link, right? Very simple. Okay, finally, quickly, I want to get into A.J. Terrell briefly, possibly the brightest star on defense, or really the brightest star on defense right now for our Atlanta Falcons. And ESPN just recently, do we say disrespected A.J. Terrell? I think that's a pretty fair word. ESPN came out with their top 10 cornerbacks in the National Football League, and Terrell's on the list, and rightfully so, just a little bit lower than where you'd like him to be if you are a Falcon fan. So just for fun, let's show you the list here. Ramsey is 1, Lattimore the Saints, a little high there at number 2. I think Jair Alexander is a little bit high as well. I think Xavier Howard should be the number 2 cornerback on this list. I think Howard, a little bit of regression last year, kind of a contract dispute there, but very much a great, great player for the Dolphins. J.C. Jackson got the new deal, leaving the Patriots to go to the Chargers. Then you see Denzel Ward at 6, Patrick Surtain at 7. Surtain, a rookie, higher than A.J. Terrell? Really? He was good, and he's going to be great, but a little bit high there in my opinion. Marlon Humphrey, a little high, and then finally A.J. Terrell sitting there at number 9. 9th best cornerback in the National Football League. I would be very, very surprised if you were to poll a lot of GMs and ask them, would you take Terrell over Humphrey, if they would actually say Marlon Humphrey, or Terrell over Surtain right now. Again, maybe Surtain turns out to be better than A.J. Terrell, but Terrell had an absolutely incredible year. And the fact that he gets a little bit disrespected here shows me that whoever wrote this article didn't watch a ton of Falcon games, and that's fine. I mean, the Falcons weren't great last year. It's not as fun as watching Jalen Ramsey, or watching Jair Alexander with the Packers, or watching J.C. Jackson with the Patriots this past year. Like, I get it, I understand, but I think Terrell is poised to have a very, very successful year. I think he only continues to trend up, and I think when you look at this list next year, he's going to for sure be inside the top 5. I think Atlanta might have a shutdown corner, a Jalen Ramsey-like player for the next 5 to 6 years in the National Football League. He's going to get a massive contract extension, maybe at the end of this year if you want to sign him early, maybe at the end of the 2023 season. But either way, I'm very excited to see what Terrell is going to do this year, and I think being disrespected like this by being put at number 9 is only going to fuel his fire to hopefully be the best version of himself that he can be. Okay, is Terrell a top 5 cornerback in the National Football League? If you think he is, like I do, type Y down below for yes. If you do not, go ahead and type N down below for no. I think he's going to be fantastic, and he will be a top 5 cornerback, especially this year. But if you think he was this past year, type Y for yes or N for no. Okay, all time for today, our Atlanta Falcons news and review video. Make sure you guys go ahead and go down below and subscribe. We have plenty of great content coming up, as I mentioned, including a mailbag video. And now is your chance to get a mailbag question asked and hopefully answered. Go down below, use the hashtag Falcons in the comments section right now to ask any sort of Falcons-related mailbag question. If you're a subscriber, that's the kicker, then you have a chance to be selected and featured in a Friday or Saturday mailbag video. Okay, all time for today on Atlanta Falcons News and Video. I'm Thomas, signing off. Stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.